All right, I think we have our stream going. Sorry for the delay. Let me confirm by getting over here. Ah, I see green lights. All right. Yes, I'm sorry. I was the one late. Actually, you want to know the truth? I started a few minutes ago and the window wasn't up. And then I came to the window and it was still offline, even though I was streaming, but the stream key wasn't the right key. So I put the right key in and off we go. Yeah, interesting. So Shane is here. Shane Dunn, right there, is the programming side of Unify. And he is going to answer questions. If you have questions on technical things, also just be aware that this plays back as a live stream in the future, and you can follow the questions, but you can't type in new questions. So there you go. Was wondering why no audio. Now it works. I'm good. We're just chatting. I love it. The Guru Nation, you guys just love to chat. So this is one of many patches in the factory voicing of Unify. Let's say we wanted to program this. Let's just jump into something. Let's go over here. We're going to add a MIDI effect. It's doing this effect because Pump House is in the audio stream of this pad sound from Digits, right? If I hit bypass, there's no pumping. So I'm going to instigate a MIDI layer to play on another layer. So I'm going to go over here and say add an empty layer, but instead of going totally empty, I'm going to go over here and call up a drum kit. So I want a kick drum to play along with this, right? So let's say go Beast, drum kit. Now I need to go over here, and here's where we have our layer presets. And there's one right here that says kick 4 on the floor. And then all I have to do is go to this second layer, which I've made with, it's calling up a drum kit, right? So it's got a drum kit and a pad. If I play them both together, right? I don't want that effect. I'm going to change that effect in a minute. So we're going to go over here to the source, say MIDI ARP. So it's now listening. Right? So it's now playing whatever note I play. I have 2 different versions of an ARP for kick drum. I think this might be the one that I want, and then transpose. Yeah, this is the one. Use actually MIDI ARP 2. MIDI ARP 1, it's triggering whatever note you play. MIDI ARP 2, it's stuck on one note, and then you transpose up. And then since we have an ARP playing, we want to go over here, make sure we have manual start and follow, and then have the click and the logic for it. Because Pump House listens to clock position. So have your sequencer playing. Now let's see what's going on. Oh, you know what probably is this ARP is probably set. It's on beat. Set to key. Okay, whoops. It should be just following along. It normally does this just fine. So if we go key, this is supposed to be set to beat. It's playing quarter notes. Let's go to digits. Let's have its attack B. Maybe Pump House has its Yeah, it has this as the 1. So that's what the problem is, I believe. Let's go over here to call up a different thing for, yeah. So the challenging thing was the downbeat for the, which I'll have to fix in the patch, I think, because I want it. So the problem was the default pattern for Pump House was having the downbeat of 1 be in the middle of Pump House. And it needs to be that this is where beat 1 is. So let's go over here and double it. So it's, get the timing I want. Yeah, I'll fix that on. So Tundra Strings, the Pump House isn't quite right. So we'll fix that. You can double click to get these to go away. There. Now. There. So, sorry for that little, I was like, wait, Pump House should be playing where it's on 1, but the pattern that was in the pattern wasn't on 1. But once you have the pattern, and I'll shift it around stuff. So that's something we will fix in the coming update. Sorry for that little, that was supposed to go faster, smoother. Let's see. I would really like to find out how accessible Unify is for Plant. You know, the blind sight impaired is something we will be working to include in Unify. It's got it's not something that we were directly able to work with someone that was hearing or visually impaired. So that's definitely a place we want to improve. Please show plugins using third-party plugins. Shane, can you explain what that means? Please show the plugin using third-party plugins. Sure. So let's take this. All we need to do is say add an empty layer, and right here is the plugins that come with Unify. And right here is your standard list of all the plugins I have right now inside of this computer. So I could go over here, I could say, let's go to, I like Uhi a lot, and let's go to like Zebra 2, and we could go to the presets, and let's find some sort of a nice pad, something like, actually the Zebratron library is really cool, because it's got some really cool, beautiful, so, here's Zebra. And then all I need to do, if I want another layer, I could say I want to add, let's use something fun. Wave Razor. Ooh, that would be fun. Let's use Serum. And let's have it do some sort of a cool synthy bass part, right? So let's go to our patches, and we could go to something like Evil Bass, and so this is a BPM patch, so it's already set up. I'm gonna click with my right click on my mouse and say I want this to stop at C, and I want the pad stuff to all stop right there. So I've split the keyboard just like that between 3 layers, faster than you can on any other DAW that I know of. And now, and then this needs to go up an octave, and then let's duplicate it, say duplicate, and let's have it be another Serum patch from another library that I've created. Let's go to Epic or Evil, and let's say BPM bass, and find something that's got a downbeat to it. So we have a, control our volume. So in like a minute, I added zebra and 2 serums to a pad, which I added the drums to in the first place. That's the joy of this interface that I'm really, really thrilled with how this turned out. You can simply just say, oh, I like that. I want to add an empty layer. I love all my pads in Omnisphere, right? So we can go over here to Spectrasonics. Omnisphere. This is the old school way of looking. It's a lot of plugins, so it takes a while scrolling, but you can now see things alphabetically if you make a subset. So let's go over here to O for Omnisphere, and it takes a second to load up. By the way, I'm going to give a shout out for the ESC at this moment. They have a library they have done with the founder of Deep Forest albums. If you're familiar with the Deep Forest projects and so forth, they have a library called Deep Forest that they've released. It's on our friends Triple Spire Audio's website. So you can go there and so you can easily layer anything you want. In fact, let's do this. Check this out. So let's have the guitar stop at C#1, and I'm going to have this sound only play on C1. So its top note is C1. I'm going to change this MIDI in to mono latch, and I'm going to turn on latch so I can play this note. And now it's latched. And I have the rest of the keyboard to play. I can say duplicate this layer. And I could say, instead of Guru Sampler, I want this to be any synthesizer in my plugin list, right? So we could go to, oh my gosh, where do we want to go? Arturia, they have some fun stuff to play with. Let's bring out Pigments. And that latch note is still playing. And if I wanted to, check this out, this is fun. You can say duplicate this layer, call this up. Let's call up this Omnisphere to be another patch from another library. Let's go to one of my libraries, an older goodie, BPM Bass, like Bohemian Boomer. And if I go over here and hit stop, oh. So you can build on these, and if I play that note again, it stops. Now, if I wanted, I could give this more of a range. Let's say we want the guitar to stop just middle C like normal, right? So I'm gonna right click on the 2 right-hand parts for the bottom note, and then B for the 2 drone. And now it's cool because I play a note and then it's done. So you could build like crazy if you want. You say duplicate this. And then let's call up one of the drum ones from one of the libraries I've done. So let's go over here to Beautifully Broken. Has some really cool drum loops in it, right? So we can go over here to BPM Drum. Let's go to The Dirty of Malone. So it's that easy, and because it's set to mono legato, it means you play a new note. It stops the last notes that we're playing, re-triggers immediately, and when you play that note again, it will stop it. So here, I'll show the keyboard so you can see what I'm doing. So from middle C, from here up, by right-clicking and setting the bottom note to stop, I just hit right-click, and this pops up so I can play any note I want. Stop. And this sound here is my pad. We don't have, in the future, we'll probably have where you can drag to reorder things around and stuff like that. But this one here is also set so that these other three, as you can see, are playing in the low range with latch mono on. So I play one note, and now it's playing. I can control my volume for these guys. Now, if you didn't want to use latch, you could turn off latch and it just plays. And then you could get into doing things where we have a MIDI effect you can use called MIDI filter. Built-in MIDI filter. This has the ability to suppress pitch bend or mod wheel or sustain pedal. So we could say suppress, which means ignore and don't let sustain pedal go through. And this way I could say no sustain pedal. And I could set that up to the sounds that are the right hand. So I just go down here and say no sustain pedal, no sustain pedal. So that way I use my sustain pedal now to hold these guys. When I let my sustain pedal up, it stops. And the top right, even if I'm using sustain pedal, so I can play. There's a lot of times when we're doing voicing for Korg synthesizers and stuff where you want the bass to not sustain and the piano to sustain, right? Stuff like that is really easy to do. So our MIDI filter lets you do that very easily. And again, you can add as many MIDI effects as you want. So you can now add a MIDI effect to do some sort of a rhythmic thing to the, because actually, check this out. You can have unlimited MIDI effects even on one MIDI effect. So I could go over here, I could go to the blue ARP, and I could say I want to call up, oh, I probably have to set this up this way. So I'd say set it to beat. Right here's your presets for blue ARP. So up here is where it plays chords. Down here is where it plays notes, right? And you can use this K1 right here to choose what note in your chord that you're holding down it will play. So between this and turning on the chords, you can do incredible things. Here's your velocity. So let's bring the velocity in. I think they have a no, they don't have a randomize. It'd be cool if they had a randomize right there, but you can bring down velocity. So it's easy to add ARPs and all sorts. I mean, I've talked to people that, so they like, well, I checked out Unify and like 4 hours later at 2 in the morning, I finally realized it was 2 in the morning. It's that simple to get lost. So that's the joy of this right here. So yes, BPM patch, the MIDI filter right here. We will add more additional things to this for like bypassing certain MIDI CCs you can select and stuff. But right now, the other thing this can do that's really important for those of you using the blue ARP, blue ARP doesn't listen to sustain pedal. You can use emulate, which means it will make sustain pedal for you. So by doing that, check this out, because it's before the blue ARP, and before, let's do this, we'll say back here to pass through. So the ARP doesn't keep going. If I say emulate the ARP, the sustain pedal, now the arpeggiator latch is latched when I use my sustain pedal. So it's simple tools, but they can be used in so many ways to do such crazy, crazy things. So let's do this. I've got a new thing to show you that's coming. I got the update that we're working on that will be out this week to talk to you about. I also have a little interview with Shane. We aren't quite set up technology-wise, I'm sorry, to where I can, I was trying to get it to where we could have Shane just pop in on a Skype chat, but it's, let's see, use whatever it is. It's one of those things where I couldn't get the audio to work where I had audio on his channel and video and stuff like that. So I have an interview I did just like 30 minutes ago with Shane I want to play for you right now. Talking about the NAMM show, talking about the fun stuff we're doing the update, a little bit about Morgan, and I want you guys to make sure you know about Shane because he is my partner on this project, and this would not be a reality with Shane in any way, shape, or form, right? So here's a little interview with him, and then we have Morgan to show you, which will be cool. I have another demo. I'm going to show you guys my NAMM show demo that I did. Kind of like you guys are walking into the NAMM show. I've got NAMM show pictures to show you because we just got back from the NAMM show. My gosh, there is so much to show you guys. But here, let's start with this. So here we go. So we are with the distinguishable Mr. Shane Dunn. I said it. By the way, my audio for some reason doubled. His didn't, so we're going to keep it. And right that time, I think, right? Hey, so how are your feelings with Unify? And my voice is shot this thing. Still. We've got all this feedback coming in that's, I think, really exciting.
It's very exciting. You know, I would have been happy to have the amount of feedback we're getting now after 3 months even. Yeah. And as it turns out, we're kind of getting it all in the first couple of weeks, which is good. People are coming back as I expected with all sorts of interesting variations of computers and video cards and things like that. And there's, there's a few little mysteries that are showing up, but for the most part, people are able to get it working.
Yes.
I would think that on the huge majority of cases, it just works and people are happy with it.
Yes.
Which is really, what we would want. The reviews that people are putting on the site are terrific.
We just hit 60 reviews. It's crazy. I've never had anything where people are this wanting to leave reviews. So thank you to all of you that leave reviews.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And I'm so happy that you are enjoying the program because we work very hard on it. And when you work on something for over a year without any user feedback other than, John, you've given me feedback.
Yeah.
Usually
but critical.
Of course, but that's what you're doing.
Right. But it's different than this where it's like people are like understanding how it works and it's improving their workflow greatly. So that's really cool.
Well, and the important thing is they're making music with it, which is fabulous, and they're having fun, and that's really what it's all about. Yeah.
So you went to the NAMM show and got to wear a white lab coat, run around the show.
Yes, we did.
This is your first time. Was it kind of like in a candy store?
Yeah, kind of an overwhelmed jet lag kid in a candy store. Yeah. It was funny because I went with Melanie we went over to the Yamaha booth. Yamaha actually took out. They didn't have a regular booth space. They had
the whole
bottom floor or a huge suite in one of the hotels.
Yeah,
which was fun, because you can go in, and I was interested in the one of their keyboards, the Mo DX. And I was able, they have them all out. So you just get to try whichever, you get to try all the different versions, which you might not be able to try in your local music store.
Yeah.
And then on our way out, we passed a Yamaha CFX, huge 9-foot concert grand. And I just kind of was looking at it in awe. And Melanie said to me, why don't you try it?
Yeah.
Sit down and play it.
Yeah.
I was thinking, well, I'm not possibly worthy of playing this instrument. But what the hell? Nobody's stopping me. So I did.
Yeah.
I played something goofy on it.
It's nice to have access to those types of instruments and opportunities. That's
cool. It is, yeah. And we went past the guitars area and the drums area and all that stuff. Those are fairly noisy.
Yes.
Where we were in I guess they aren't really broken down by like as being software versus something else, but I think our area was more sort of software heavy.
Yeah.
And I found it was an incredibly um, friendly group of people. Very Everyone was just very, very positive. We got a lot of wonderful reactions to Unify.
Yeah. Even from people from other developers, right?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
It was amazing.
yeah, it was terrific. And when you were giving demonstrations, or Laurent was giving demonstrations, or Casey was giving demonstrations, um, I was just kind of watching, and I would see people sometimes jaws would drop, and
Yeah.
sometimes uh, more often though they would just get these big smiles on their faces, and oftentimes they'd start laughing.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
were
It was
just
really fun.
so excited, and wow, I can do this.
Right.
And we had a number of people saying to us, "Yeah, right after I get home, I'm going to buy this."
Right. Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, yeah, that's great."
Yeah. It was very cool. Yeah, and yeah, it was kind of like a lot of times people were like, hmm, hmm, what?
Yeah,
And there's
yeah,
this moment where it clicks, the power that Unify gives you. So it was really cool that you got to see that and see how people are responding to it. Very, very cool.
it really was terrific. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have been working since you've been home on a few things for an update we're going to be releasing. I'm hoping this coming week is what we're looking at.
Yeah, we'll get it out as soon as we can. I mean, the this first update is really going to be pretty basic stuff.
Yeah.
There are some issues in the installers that, I mean, our installers were very, very basic.
Yeah.
So we had installers that just weren't terribly clever about asking you where you want to put things and so on.
Right. So they're smarter
Um,
now.
and those will be coming along. I fixed a couple of little issues. Bypass state of insert effects wasn't getting saved in the patches, and that's fixed. And then the bigger one is, it used to be that every time you'd open a plugin window, a
Yeah.
GUI window, it would always pop it in the same spot,
Yeah.
which is really irritating if you got a
Yeah.
multi-monitor system, because it might put it on that same spot that it wants to put it on might be a monitor that is off to the side somewhere.
Right. Right.
And so now what they do is it'll do that the first time, but then after you drag the window somewhere, if you close it and reopen it, it'll remember where you put it.
Awesome. That's a useful one for all the different editing windows to remember where they're at. All that stuff is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. And I'm right now working on a mono legato mode for
Yes.
Guru Sampler, which is something that you asked about.
Yes.
I have a long list.
Yes.
I have 10 Word files.
Yes.
Split into all kinds of different categories of all the feedback we're getting.
Yeah.
A lot of it is future oriented. A lot of it is, issues people are running into now, but for the most part, they're fairly small.
Yeah. 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 I was thinking for this first update, if we can have the legato and portamento, we can update, because one thing I didn't do with voicing is there's no bass split patches.
Right. Yeah.
There's bass split templates, but no bass split patches. So this will
Okay.
have a bunch of bass split patches with mono legato basses doing cool things. We'll fix some of the
Right.
bass patches that they are playing more like you expect a synth bass part to play. So
Okay.
yeah, it's basic stuff, but a couple goodies in there for everybody to enjoy as well, which is great. And do you want to say a word? Because I'm going to be previewing. I'm going to be premiering Morgan today.
Oh, yes. Right.
Yes.
This was something that I played with some time ago. It's a sort of it's like a tone wheel organ type of synthesizer.
Right.
And it was sort of like a test program that I did a long time ago. And then I thought of the idea of in Unify that we would split it up so that rather than being a single plugin, it would actually be 3 plugins.
Yeah.
There's the tone wheel generator itself, which is a very simple kind of synthesizer with 9 tone wheels, just like a Hammond.
Yeah.
It's very Hammond-like sound. Then there's, of course, the effects, which is the
rotary speaker.
Speaker type of effect.
Right.
And there's a couple other effects we're working on as well.
Yeah.
And then the tricky one is Hammonds have a so-called percussion effect.
Mechanical
which
percussion. Yeah.
very unusual. It's polyphonic, but it is single triggered. So from hands off the keyboard
Yeah.
to the first note or chord that you play, you'll get a ping that goes with that.
Yeah.
And then after that, if you play for as long as you keep notes held down on the keyboard, it won't re-trigger.
Right.
And so what I have done is I've rendered that as a MIDI effect.
Yes.
So you can actually have an organ with the perk being from any instrument you want.
Right.
So because again, there are a lot of Hammond emulations on the market, and some of them are very good.
Yeah.
And so I didn't propose to say, well, let's make another one, or
Right.
let's try to make something that is better than anything else. It's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
If you're a Hammond player, you probably have 2 or 3 of them already.
Right. Right.
And so this is more like, what can we do with Unify that a Hammond player would find familiar, but also takes them into unknown sonic territory. Yeah.
And you can even flip it even harder, and instead of it being an organ, have it so it's even a synth for the organ part if you really want to. That's
Absolutely.
why we call it more than organ. So we're taking the components of an organ, splitting them. So right after this video, we'll introduce this to you in real life. So that's really exciting. Yeah. Well, cool. It's really funny to think at the same time this is going to be playing, you'll be answering questions on the chat.
Yes, that's right, folks. So this is pre-recorded. I am actually, I'm not actually talking right now.
It's not a live talk, but
and
he'll be typing answers at the same time, right?
You bet.
Well, cool. Well, thank you for your time.
Okay.
And we'll see you in the live stream. There you go. So that was a fun conversation, and let's see here. Oh, there we go. So let's close that. So the things we were talking about. Oh, I need to get my webcam back on, right? So let's go over here. Turn this on. Hello. So what we were talking about, there's a couple things there's something that will be coming in this update this week, and I'm putting together a whole bunch of not BPM split, but just bass split patches, so that we have a bass in Steinway, by the way, this MDA loudness effect, if you want to get a nice round full bass, here's without it. Here's without it. You just need a little bit. You might offset the gain by a half a dB or so if you bring it too much above like 13 dB, but this adds just a it's like you don't need a sub on some basses by using the loudness effect from MDA. And this is found in our little batch up here at the top under EQ, because it is a form of an EQ because it's modifying the low end. So MDA loudness, I'm finding I'm using it a lot. Lo-fi bass and bell for stuff like that. I'm working on, this isn't done yet. Having the rock piano. And then this is a 3 velocity layer it's got a round solid sub. Then it has one bass sound from DX. That plays up until about 109, and then 110 and above is our favorite little squelchy little. And I might actually have this one go velocity all range so that it's. Yeah, I like that. So option, click to save. So there will be another 14, 15. I'm going to have probably 20 by the time I'm done. Bass splits that will be coming for free in this patch. And this will have, we will hopefully have a legato mode, which we don't have right now. So that will be maybe showing up, we're hoping, in this update, as well as the service things that we were talking about. I'm opening a window. If you move this over here now and you close it in the new version, it will remember that you moved it over here when you when you close it. And if text is over here, it'll remember that you had it over there. So everything will go where you want it to be. So that is the update that's showing up soon. I'll show you a little preview of something that will be coming in the future. That's Morgan. More than organ. And for this, I'd actually, I found a, turn on the pose filtering. Right? So here's the story. Here's my pitch. Morgan is a combination of an instrument. This is our alpha build skin. So you're seeing it without what it will be like in final, which I don't know how fancy it will be to start. We're talking about working with an iPad app at some point that will have access to these drawbars and things like that. But these are the drawbars for the organ. And we'll have it so you can real-time control these somehow. And then we have layer 2. Let's mute the organ. Is an organ percussion sample that's in the library that was included. It's down here at the end of the Del Norte attack list. I added a couple clicks at the end that I wanted to have after all the Del Norte ones. And so this is the click. And the rule with an organ, with a real B3 organ, is it's a mechanical click. And when you play keys, it plays. And then any keys you play after that effect, let's see, let's go over here to the keyboard so you can see it. So you play notes. Any other notes that I play, you don't hear the click. But it's polyphonic for that first, whatever you play. If I play all these notes, they click. But as long as I'm holding down a note, they don't. So we made that a MIDI effect, rule-wise, how it's going to respond, so that I could use that on this layer for the percussion to be the... Right? But what's fun is that because we've separated it, we've pulled the organ apart, you can go to the percussion Let's use a breath attack as our B3 percussion. You know, you could do all sorts of things like that. If you go to the shorter attacks up here, tune it up. Right? And because they're separated, this means I can also go to the organ component, like I talked about in the video interview. Let's go to something like dynamic filtered is a nice snappy. And let's go over here and filter it. So I have move this down an octave. I've taken it and totally flipped it. I've got a synth part and something else for the attack of the organ doing what a B3 should do, right? And I still have the Leslie on because the Leslie is the separate audio effect that we will be including. It's down here as an auxiliary bus effect that you'll have distortion, direct mix. We've got a couple different Leslie effects actually happening. So we have a synth playing the organ and something else playing the attack. And if I wanted, I could go, what if I had serum for my attack of this organ synth? So you can go over here, go through the list, go to the plucked stuff. So you can take the rules of the organ and now apply them to dance parts for synth parts. It's going to just be nuts. I can't wait to hear what you guys do with these tools. We're giving you the tools, and then it's up to you to take them and use them for really cool things. So that's our idea for organ, more than organ. Right? So, any questions? I'm hoping you guys are. It's hard to follow the stream. Interesting idea. Can you give an example? I'm glad Shane is following the stream. What's going on? Okay, so the next thing I want to show you guys is some pictures from the NAMM show. This is day one. Before going, I had met Shane just the night before. It's one of these crazy things. For what, over a year we worked. Oh wait, I'm gonna get back to the line here. For over a year we worked on this project for this instrument, and we met for the first time the night before the NAMM show to have all this awesome stuff happening. Laurent and Melanie showed up. Melanie's my girlfriend, my sweetheart, and that's her and Taquita, her little chihuahua that she has on this really cool little attachment to hold Taquita. She got more picture requests than anybody, because when you have a cute dog like that, Laurent set up an interview with this French team of vloggers and videologgers. This is seeing the Korg Wave State, which is a synthesizer Laurent did voicing for. I did voicing for. Samples from actually my samples, many of them that are inside of Unify are also inside of the Korg Wave State. Dan Phillips, he's especially for the interface, he's one of the project design heads for the Wave State project. So here he is with Wave State. Here we are at the Korg booth. There's so many photos. I'm just going to fly through them. There's me at my little station. Ilio, our distributors for dealers around the world, set up this awesome booth that had this huge TV on its side that was playing just insane video. I have that video somewhere. I could play that. Along with all this, talking about Unify and the little kiosk, and then I had a little outfit to wear. This was before I put on my white suit, so this is when we're still just like this. And then Melanie and Laurent showed up with the suits, and so here we are. I bought these white lab coats, and I had a PlugInGuru logo put in the front pocket, and then you'll see somewhere here, see on the back, we have Unify Your World on the back. And Casey Porter, a dear friend of mine that works with so many amazing people in the Latin music industry and other industries, super talented. Lots of video people doing stuff. James Bernard from Spectrasonics, a dear friend that he actually used to work with Korg many, many years ago, a dear brother. So Spectrasonics was there showing off all their cool stuff that they've got going on. Yeah, some happy pictures. Jack Hotop is my brother from another mother. He and I have voiced probably 20 Korg synthesizers since 1989. And he actually voiced synthesizers before me. He did the Poly 800, the Korg DS S1, the DW 8000 has his voicing that he did in it. He's a just monster in our industry. And then we've worked on all the Wave stations. We've worked on all the O1Ws, the T series, the Triton series, the Korg Oasis, Kronos 2, many, many, many synthesizers over the years. And Dan Phillips. So we were they came over to say hi. And Andy Leary is the head of Korg R&D. He was the head of our project for the Wave State. And so there we are saying hi to them. Taiho Yamada, he has created Wave Razor with Media Overkill. Dear friend Casey Baldwin, who has the incredible library for Spire we have released here at PlugInGuru that people, you hear it on dance tracks all around the world all the time. It's pretty cool in that regards. Let's see here. So what's going on there? Let's keep going. There's going to be interspersed some photos. My daughter was in Mexico at the time, so she's going to pop up photos of when she was in Mexico. So that would be interesting to see those pop up. Melanie, this is Oscar Cabrillo. He's the head of the Sound Synthesis Club, which I have spoken at past NAMM shows and so forth. Stax is a great musician. Jerry Kowarski and Dave Gross are dear friends of mine for many, many years. Shane having a beer and a burger. Oh, here they are, the lab coats. You can see the back of the Unify Your World. So that was the booth. Walking around. Gaz is a dear friend of mine. He interviewed me for Sonic State. So we did a video, and this guy here was running the video, and it's so amazing all the stuff they have set up to do this. And that video came out really great. That's us going through some of the technical details. I lost my voice like crazy, but thanks goodness for Reciprocals and stuff like that, I was able to get them back. Other people we talked to as the days went on. This is just the first day, I believe. So Shane and Laurent talking. Shane talking. Other great people. These are, oh my gosh. So this is Ben Dowling. Ben got me my job with Korg. He worked for Korg as a product specialist, and I was working at a music store in Seattle, and he's the one responsible for getting me to Los Angeles to start my career with Korg and voicing. This gentleman is Todd Cochran, who's just a monster of a musician and just a wonderful human being. I worked with him on, oh my gosh, on so many albums. I'm trying to think. We worked on a Freddie Hubbard album, Times Are Changing, which came out great. I remember 2 a.m. doing snare drum replacements with him in the studio. So it's so fun to see all these guys. It's kind of like a reunion. Tommy Coster, he worked with Eminem and them. He's sold millions and millions of records. The harpsichord part on I'm Slim Shady, he played that. He's written so many of the songs for that environment. He's just a dear brother. So we did Portraits and Smiles. Oh, that's John. Jonathan is with Spectrasonics. He's also a dear friend. Laurent, more demos, seeing how Unify works, being blown away. Oh, this is Mark Hiskey. Mark Hiskey is the owner of Ilio, and he's the one that is the distributor that distributes Spectrasonics, Vienna Symphony Ensemble, Drum Corps 4 you see here in the corner, all sorts of companies, Synthagy with all the ivory pianos, and I'm honored to be with him with PlugInGuru. We started, if you go to Stylus RMX to the EXP libraries, there's Skippy's Big Bad Beats and Skippy's Noise Box. Those are drum loop libraries that are now in Stylus RMX. They originally came out for the Roland and the Akai samplers before Stylus RMX was even an idea in Eric's. We did those libraries for Ilio and sold them as CD-ROMs for $100 a library. Think about that. And Mark was the distributor. This was my first time to see an actual real wave state. It was after the first day of the NAMM show. Here, if I zoom this out, it's like this. It was the first day after the NAMM show, and I hadn't been able to get away from my booth for a second. Hardly. And so I ran over to the Korg booth, and they were off, but I got to touch the Korg wave state, it's such a cool synth. A couple of pictures. That night was the Old Men of MIDI dinner. There's a small group of us. There's many people that qualify for this group, but I'm honored to be considered one of the old men of MIDI that were there at the beginning of MIDI, doing things and all that kind of stuff. So Peter Schwartz, more portraits. I started getting into portraits. I do lots of portraits. I have my A7 III with a 55 millimeter f1.8 lens that I bring with me to the show. And so while stuff's going on, Jeff Downs from Buggles and Yes and all sorts of historic stuff. He was really impressed with Unify. It's really fun to show it to him. That's Eric, or this is Kevin Melton, who's from Texas, who's huge with the church market. Big E, he might be here in the chat. He was at the NAMM show for a bit, so it's fun to see him doing a demo. This is the French demo they did. This is Peter Johnson and Shane. Peter Johnson's a developer that works with Jordan Rudis on all their cool apps they're doing. So here they are doing their video. They did giveaways. Mike Babbitt, people at the Korg booth. We had this incredible dinner for Korg R&D the following night. That was really good. George Shaw is just a monster musician and a dear friend. So many people. It was so fun to see everybody. Here's Casey wearing the outfit underneath. I think he had like a Star Trek outfit or something like that on. Korg Wave State won an award for hardware synth of the show, so that was pretty cool to have that. Then we got, this isn't the full team. John Bowen left early, and we couldn't find Andy Leary, but this is some of the people that were part of the team that did the Korg Wave State, and so we had these pictures. Saying hi to Cuckoo and other friends. There's a patch in the Wave State I made called Dance Like Skippy that's really fun. People love the Icelandic piano. That's another one of mine. The pads, all the pads on one knob, 10 pads on a knob. A handful of the first patches in the first set list. It's very cool. They are yours truly. Melanie and me trying to do a portrait and smile with that. Then we went out to the NAMM show out front, and that was fun. Oh my gosh, such great history. This is Ralph Grierson, who is a piano player. He has a list of credits that's multiple pages of films he has worked on. It was so fun to see him. He had an accident a while back where I think he fell off a stage or something and hurt his hands, and he's come back from that and played, and he's just a wonderful person. Scott Hunter is a friend of mine he used to work with with Roland for voicing years ago. This is Manny Fernandez. He's a dentist that's also just one of the most incredible programmers for Yamaha synthesizers. He worked on the Wave Station, did a card for the Wave Station way back in the day that I worked with him on. So fun to see him. This is actually, oh my God, I'm not gonna remember his name. Anyway, it's the daughter of somebody that's really into the modular synth world and stuff like that. Here we are eating at this cool little restaurant. Mindy Abear, a dear friend, she came to say hi. Me and Melanie sang hi at the NAMM show. We had this incredible food from this Viking restaurant, this Viking truck that had this hot dog sausage and it's really good. Rob Rampley, Taiho with Mock. He's with Tom and Music, and so it was fun to see him. A dear friend from the Korg days. It's at Casio now. Lots of people at Casio used to work at Korg. So there's other friends of ours. Michelle Mogkozla, and Eric hiding behind her, Eric Norlander. They're dear friends, and so it was fun to take this photo of Michelle, and then Eric in his portrait, Houston Singletary of Ableton, doing fun things. I got to show Morris Hayes, who was the keyboard player with Prince for like 20 years, and Big Daddy Mike, Big Mike Hart, Mike Hart. Show them Unify, and Morris is like, I'm doing a concert with Sheila E. in 4 days. I'm gonna use Unify. I was like, cool, that's awesome. So all sorts of people were really into it. He liked Taquita, so he wanted to hold Taquita for a bit. Other people, Joey Heredia, this cat here created Ivory for Synthagy, so it's really cool that he was at the show. So many great people. This is Kenneth Crouch, who produced Brandy and still's producing all sorts of killer music these days. Fun to show them what's going on. This is, I can't remember his name, but he's an incredible wind player. Worked with Eric Persing on a video that's just unbelievable. And Melanie wanted to say hi and pose with Morris, so there you go. Then CJ Vanston is a dear friend that used to be in Spinal Tap, and he played with so many people, concerts-wise and stuff like that. Great stuff. So many pictures. I mean, it was just a great show. So, Melanie with Taquita. There we go, CJ. So it was a great show. I could keep going. There's so many other photos of great people. There's the Unify Your World. This was what was on the back of our lab coats. And we had them as stickers to pass out at the show. It was pretty cool. So yeah, so that was the show. It was 4 days of insanity. My voice is still recovering from it. But it was such a really cool experience. The last handful of years, I've gone kind of, just to visit and hang out and see friends. No real agenda. This year was very different. Having your own product to show at a trade show like this, and having its reception be so great is just I can't even put into words how great it was. So it was just incredible. I want to point out, let me see if there's anything else we need to cover on this wonderful day. I programmed Fortran on punch cards. Yes, that was Richard Devine's daughter. Right. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you. I'm sometimes not so good with names. I get a lot of names in my head sometimes, right? But yeah, she loved Takeda and wanted to hold the puppy. So we said, sure. Say hi to the puppy. So what's fun is we have 4 controllers, sometimes up to 8. I love these hi-hats. He did it all with noise. So you go to this, it's white noise, high pass. And then go over here to the delay. So fun to play with these guys. Do you have any questions of specific stuff I can show you guys? I want to make sure that we take a little time for question and answers, because so many of you have Unify. We've answered as many technical support questions as we have. If any have fallen through the cracks, I apologize. But please send us another note. That would be helpful if you haven't heard in a couple days, because we try to keep on top of it pretty fast. Thank you, Nature Guy. How are sales? Sales are incredible. We are blessed. It's a whole new world for yours truly with the financial front. It's been a struggle to get here, but I thank you, and this is something that I am thrilled to have as our baby to play with. I could show you this. I can't get Unify to see Massive X. That's something we'll look at, Terry. We'll write that on the list. We'll make a note of that. I wanted to show you this. This is pretty mind-blowing to me. I've released 80 different libraries for synthesizers, right? And there's so many of them that I've gotten nice positive reviews, and it's a great thing if there's like 4 or 5 reviews. It's like, oh, great. I'm so glad to hear that. Well, for Unify, we are up to, I believe, 60 reviews. 58 5-star, 4 2-star, and the comments and stuff are just, I mean, they go on forever and ever and ever. Thank you to all of you that write these reviews. It's so awesome that people can read this and say, had to say, great product, especially easy, very intuitive, has a great creative print. I mean, people are using it before they write the reviews, and coming a new track while just trying the demo presets of a new synth. So people are really into this, and I'm thrilled. Good place to be in, right? Wow. I mean, just so many comments. So thank you sincerely. Shane and I thank all of you guys that have left comments. We don't monitor the comments. If you do give us a 1-star, I do write a review back to you and say, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Is this what maybe might be doing this thing that you gave it a 1-star over? Because it's usually something that is just something they might have overlooked. I will say, because I am a total transparent kind of person, yesterday I issued our first refund. After almost 3 weeks of sales, over 1,200 people buying it, 1 refund. So I think that's pretty good odds. And I sincerely, to those of you guys that are having a few issues here and there, we are working to fix them out. And I thank you. Yeah, the scanning issues, that's totally fair, David. And the update that we have coming out is the scanner's been fixed. It now scans in the background. It does what happened. Newer Mac computers, when it got to where it would crash to go back, it's supposed to write a blacklist file saying this plugin is the problem. Well, newer computers, when it gets to that blacklist, it goes back to the beginning before it has time to write that file. So it didn't have a chance to write the plugin that was the problem. So we fixed that problem, stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, Unify is the thing. I am thrilled. The 1,200 plus of you guys that own this are our soldiers. So please spread the word. Share it with your friends and family. Let others know that this is a fun place to play. It's, as I called it at the NAMM show, it's a doggy park for plugins. That's where we're at with this. Is you can start with any of these patches and just very easily go adding something to it, and off you go. So I'm going to show you one more thing. Check this out. In the Morgan beta, I can be in all libraries. I'm going to use the search and say song. And there's one song I can call up. This is my NAMM demo. So I'm going to show you my NAMM demo that I did. This is a, let's see, let's mute that. And let's unmute these guys. We all know this song, right? So just by pushing a button, I have, check this out. So if I come over here, you can see it. I have 6 tracks. And then I have each one of these set to a different MIDI channel. We can listen to up to 16 MIDI channels in one instance of Unify. I will say there's been reports coming in from people that are using the more economical sequencers that give you like only 8 tracks. Well, because this can play 16 parts on 16 MIDI channels, that's 8 tracks times 16. So it opens up even your economical sequencers that you might be working with to be even more capable, right? And what I do with this, I go, oh, it sounds good. Let's kind of, now if you recall, this is Father Figure from George Michael. Love this track. But the original, this sample is nice. It's actually the ocarina from Steve Taglioni. And I hit solo, and it's not soloing because the sequencer's playing the parts. So I guess it should solo. Oh, you know what it is? So it's not playing the right Unify. Here, there we go. So now I can solo the flute. Problem with having more than one Unify running at once. So the original of this was the D50. So I can go to this list and scroll and look forever. Or I look at my subsets where I have all the Roland synthesizers available and say D50. Oh, are you kidding me? Thanks. This is why people hate the cloud. I'm not a fan of the Roland cloud because they do this to you all the time. Well, hopefully they'll let me show it. If you go over here, you can go to the shakuhachi. Right? And then I'm going to go to Unify to the EQ. We have a low and high pass filter, so I'm going to crank up the high end. There. Let's funk this out a little bit. Let's add some serum. And let's call it the patch it forgot. Now the drums, this is where real-time controllers are cool because I have the drums dark. They're filtered, right? And I can... Well, let's have a modulation wheel do that. And there's two ways to do it. Because it's Guru Sampler, I could go over here and I could say do it here. And now when I play... Am I talking to the right? I'm probably not talking to the right track. I need to be over here on channel 4. There. I can do it that way. God, we gotta get that keyboard control. It's pulling keyboard attention away from Logic all the time. We're working to make it so that Unify doesn't stop you from hitting start and stop in your sequencer. And right now, if you have two windows open, it starts and stop, ignores. But instead of that, let's go here to the knobs and let's go to the linked parameters. And from here, I can go to any of these tracks and I can look at the plugins and the plugin effects on that track. So I'm going to go to Guru Sampler, filter cutoff. Here's where it is. So now I can move the mod wheel. Yeah, gotta go over here. And of course it's ignoring me again. So I need to go over here and go to drums. And I also want the reverb to come up. So we'll go to the wet level, which is really soft. So as it gets brighter, I'm going to add reverb now. So check this out. So we're hit play. But I don't want so much reverb coming in so soon. I want it to gradually grow like this, where it stays really low for a long time and then it grows at the end. This is called curvature. And curvature is super cool. We give it to you on every single parameter because every parameter you might want to respond in a different way with your controllers. So now when I play this, it's going to start and you'll hear a little bit of reverb and then more reverb at the very end because I'm going to crank this so it's like this. I could even go like this and say no reverb until I hit this certain point at the end of the spectrum if I wanted to, because you can double click to add points. I could even have it come up in the middle and then come back down, right? So watch my mod wheel. It's going to have reverb in the middle, then it's going to get quiet. Then it starts up again here. Here goes reverb. So if you want to do glitchy things, you can make these, like I call them just railroad cars all over the place where you just go nuts, double clicking. We're going to make this a better graph in the future. It's a little bit kind of rough, but that's something that will be done at some point here. So now I have it. So when I move this, the reverb is going to just be going weird all over the place. So. There's a lot of people saying that Unify is just a mind-blowing sound design tool, and it's because you can easily do stuff like this without even thinking about it. After that, let's make it even more weird. Let's add noise box, and I'm gonna go to my favorite custom so I can like play it, and it's gonna get loud, so watch your speakers, please. I'll try not to blow you out, but. A low pass filter on it, so you don't really hear it. Let's go back here to the link parameters, drums, noise box. We want to have the filter, so go post, filter, frequency. go nuts. Like, you cannot believe we go up to 48 dB on our filtering. So the other thing I showed, because I love this during the NAMM show, is the rock guitars. Because we can do some crazy stuff with rock guitars. So bye-bye preset. I love to make presets and then go boop, gone. Okay, so this is a rock guitar using noise box and Klangfalter in combination. If you turn these off and I turn off my kind of in the way but chunky kind of attack, it's a clean Strat sample. If you add noise box, I have a custom distortion shape that I have made. And then we have pre-filtering and post-filtering. And I'm high-pass filtered, which means by bringing this up, all this low frequency is being ignored by the distortion. If I do it the other way around, it's going to be super bassy but dark. So on input, it's nice to use the band pass. As you can see, we also have band pass reject as well as low pass, high pass. And then my favorite is right here. Just an unbelievable filter on that post of this noise box. This is 12 dB. Let's go to 48 dB. Check this out. Crank this even higher. So you can make crazy sounds all day long. And then after this, let's keep this open and bright. We have gain stages pre-post, so you can get it to... Okay, now let's really have fun. This is where it gets sick, truly sick. Klangfalter is the convolution reverb. Shane rescued this from GitHub. It had been like dormant for like 6 or 7 years. And this is a scary, scary plugin that's included with Unify. It has, I've put in a whole bunch of I've created all these different types of room transients for, it's a room, big churches, springs, concert halls. I even have like 13 seconds, mega long. And it'll ring out for 13 seconds. Okay, that's the reverb folder. That's called the ambiverb folder. Below that is noise verb. And this is where it gets to the sick part. Air pressure can. So the frequency of a recording of an air pressure can I did. Or a plastic bag. And this is where it gets really fun, because a bag, you hit it. And I was just scrunching a plastic bag. When you hold down a note on a distorted guitar, just crazy, crazy, crazy. All I'm doing is playing. It's going through plastic bag number 12. And if I wanted, I could bring up the dry and less of the reverb because you have 2 separate synths for each one. So you can get to insanely cool things. There's over 160 different convolution presets inside of Unify. So for the price of money, this reverb alone is worth it. That's what I kind of wanted to do. I wanted it so that every category you look at would be worth the price of Unify by itself. But it's like 6 categories that can do 6 just crazy cool things. So it makes it so you really feel good about getting this. I want that feeling to be really strong. Then you get to the convolutions for the amp cabs. I'm going to do a whole separate video on Klangfalter, but this stretch parameter is super cool, especially with these guitars, because this pitches the sample up and down in pitch, which you wouldn't think did that much, but listen to what it does to this guitar. So let's go to like Shredder. You literally have every setting is a different guitar preset. That's my Gibson 542. There's my JC 120. I mean, this is how you make presets in some box that you get for 500 presets. They're changing one parameter like this. I hate to bust the bubble, but in a lot of cases, that's all it is. So there's that. There's all sorts of coins drops, coins tossed. This is a match I struck. Soda bubbles. So there is places in sound design that you can go with this that are really fun. These are orchestra hits. Where wherever you play, it rings the orchestra hit. If instead of a guitar, you were to have this be a drum kit, go over here. These orchestra hits were originally made for Super Macho drums, which we will at some point be bringing drum kits to Unify in a very cool way. So now the convolution reverbs and these different things here, plastic bags. And the distortion going on top. There's so many places to play. It's just really wonderful. So if you go back down here to these hits, make one layer like this, and then duplicate it, right? And make this one stop at this note, make this one start at that note. And just like that, I've split the keyboard, and I could go over here to a different Klangfalter preset for this side. So let's go over here. You could make unlimited. You can make every note on your keyboard a different hit if you wanted to. Fun stuff, okay? So let me look. I didn't follow up to see if there's any questions. Just take my money already. Thank you, William. I don't let facts interfere with a good joke. Yes. Craig is asking, will Unify have more than 16 MIDI channels? Absolutely. We wish to have, so that when you're here, you'll see a USB port to select as well as the MIDI channels on that USB port. So you can have multiple USB keyboards coming into Unify. Right now it's just by MIDI channel, but that is definitely something we plan to do. Any other questions while I am looking? Oh yeah, it was good to meet you too, William. Right on, man. It's such a hurricane of faces and names and stuff. It was really fun. Just want to make sure you guys are all set for the week. Oh, wow. Yeah, the M7 impulse responses would sound good. How do I get it in my DAW again? So you need to, it is installed, right? When you run the installer, it will install VST, VST3 if you're on the Mac audio units. So now you go to your instrument, like here's one where it's not assigned, and you go to instruments, you go down to the wherever the company for selecting is, and then PlugInGuru Unify. And just like that, you have Unify playing with a sine wave. Go browse. If you don't see patches, there's 4 places to rebuild this database. You can option click right here. That will rebuild the patch database. If you open browse, you can option click here. That will rebuild the database. You can also click and it says rebuild patch database. I think we're going to turn this into just an icon you just click to rebuild the database so it's not hidden, so it's more clear. And also under the settings, if you're having problems where the library's not playing, the patches aren't playing, make sure when you hit open on your data folder that it opens up a folder that looks like this that has libraries, presets, and VST. This is the Unify folder. Sometimes you move your database because you can change where it's at location-wise. Make sure when you hit open that it opens. And that's the big part of the battle for a lot of people. Here's your patch database, and right here's another button that will rebuild your patch database. So there's 4 places to rebuild the patch database. You click browse. With the new update, we will have it so that browse is remembered. So if you leave it open, it will remember that state when you close it and open it next time. All that kind of stuff will be remembered because we want that in Windows and all that stuff to be even better in the future. And then once it shows up, then you just go to the patches and play. And you go. We have basses first. Basses splits will be a new category that you can go right to and call up and off you go. And it's like, okay, I like this piano. I wish I was using one of my contact pianos. All you have to do, so this is the piano. So you just go right here and say swap. And I'm going to go to, I think I have all the native instruments. No, I don't have them listed here. So I can go down to contact, say contact. Please don't crash. Sometimes when we've been working with it for a long time, it still will sometimes get a little erroneous piece of MIDI data going. But it seems to be good right now. So I could go to Noir, which is a really lovely piano, and say, let's play the pure version. It'll take it a minute to load. But now, yeah, it's loading, so I'll give it a second. You gotta be fair to let these things load up all their samples. Turn it up because they have it way too soft. So now I'm using Noir. So I could go here to the patches and I could say, go to the particles, and these really cool, like piano plus kind of things, right? Let's see, like come back here. Brushed piano, bowed piano. And I don't like how it plays. So it doesn't work to have this velocity curve on Noir. So I'm gonna hit reset. And it's like, because this is a layout, you can expand on it. So I go, okay, that bass is good. I want it to be a little bit thicker. So I say duplicate. And all I have to do is say, I want to use, let's say we want to use Korg. We want to use a wave station for fun. So I could go over here to, let's see, there's actually, is it Ram 2? Here it is, my Skips boom bass. I made this 30 years ago for the wave station. So there, so we put that on there. You notice duplicate kept track of the split, so it's still split. So I quickly took a bass split that we started in Unify. I've added Noir. I duplicated the bass and I added the wave station on it. All I have to do is go over here and hit save. Choose what library I want to use. Say new library. This is the Spring Water Dream album. Say confirm. So I now have this new library that will show up. And I could rename this bass split Dream Piano Bass Starter. So I'm going to use this for every song on my album and just say save. It'll pop up your normal save. You'll notice that we've already made a folder in the libraries folder now called Spring Water Album. In the patches folder, hit save. And it's right here, right next to the bass and deep Steinway. So I can go back to that patch. Or I can go, no, I want to go back. Boom. And it'll take it a second to load the samples because of Kontakt having what, like 400 megabytes of samples. But so the idea is we give you starting places that you can grow. Use all these freaking plugins you guys own that you love dearly that you don't have any place to play with them. You can play with them. So that's what Unify is about. It unifies all your plugins in one place where you can play with them. Let them do what they're supposed to do without you having to record 8 separate tracks one at a time. That's one way to work with Unify, and that's one way to write music. The other way is to be more collaborative and like and be recording that. And now you're writing music and you're collaborating with your sounds without it having to be multiple passes in your sequencer to do the bass part in one pass. And now remember what you did on the bass part while you play the piano part. And I always have to go back and redo the bass part again. Play it. Okay, so I'm gonna go. I think we've come to the end of this live stream. Next week, hopefully we will have some really cool things to show you with what we can do with the features we're adding to the Guru sampler. There'll be a version where you can scan your plugins and it won't lock up. Windows will be remembered. We're replacing, a lot of people have talked about these windows, how it's hard to see the little X up here. We're going to replace and fix all that so it looks, you'll easily be able to see that there's a window there to close like it's supposed to be. All sorts of things we're adding in our first point update to Unify, which will be coming out by Friday. I think we'll have it out by Friday or else Friday, whenever. I mean, I like to have it so we can show it Saturday at the next live stream. So that's kind of our goal. So any questions? I'm going to say sayonara if live streams are too short. If you show the link between the TSA website for the oh, yeah. This sounds stupid. How do I add my plugins? Oh, it's really easy. You go to the plugins page, and then right here in the bottom is operations, and you can scan for whatever plugins you wish to have it scan. I use VST, even if I'm inside of Unify, or inside of Logic Pro X, I'm still using, for the most part, VST versions of the plugins, because if I make a patch, it's 100% compatible between PC and Mac using VST plugins. The other two formats of VST3 and audio units are not transferable between PC and Mac. For most of you, that's not an issue. You're not going to be sending patches to other people. And so that's not a big deal. So you can use whatever format version you want to use, whatever one. Some people only scan for one format and they haven't not installed the others because it is a triplicate of hard drive space to have all three formats of all three plugin types on your computer. And then once you start, you just say scan for, let's say, actually can't, we don't have audio units, so I'll have it start the process on for a while. Oh, popped my buffer for a second. So it can be doing this in the background while I'm playing. I don't have certain things installed. I don't know if I have all the licensed keys that I have for everything. So if they pop up, they can pop up while I'm still playing and doing things. It's really kind of an interesting world that we can, and it's checking plugins in the background. So that's why we recommend getting it so you play the patches that are inside of Unify, and then you can go out when you're ready and look for plugins. The other way to use plugins, I want to point out, because some plugins will freeze the scanner, and that update that fixes this issue is not out yet. Let me point out real quickly the other thing that's really cool. You can open up a folder with plugins just like this. This is my VST folder, right? And I could take this plugin. All you got to do is go to the known plugins page. Don't be scanning at the same time. I think that's probably a bad idea. But you can go over here. Oh, yeah, thank you. And I could say modular or some, like I said, we're going to get into all these different expiration notings for SoftTube. Thank you. Let's just hit cancel. Okay. So once it gets done scanning, you'll see I now have all these audio unit plugins available. If there's a certain VST3 plugin, like the Roland ones don't come in VST, they only come in VST3 format. So you could open this up, take one, drag it right here and let go. It will scan it, bypassing the scanner. So you can put as many plugins as you want. You can click and drag and have all of these scanned if you want, like this. And it's scanning them. So they'll be added. They're already added, so it won't scan them again since they've already been added. It's that simple, okay? So thank you for joining us. Yes, Unify support at PlugInGuru.com is where you can email us with your questions, with your problems, suggestions. We like to hear people saying that they like to use it from time to time. It gets, you get a lot of people that are having their problems with their specific computers, and it's nice to have. So many of you are happy using it and not having to say anything, right? So anyway, it's all good. It's all good. I'm going to cut this at this point. So thank you. We appreciate the support. We will see you next Saturday. Is there any reason to use VST if VST3 is available? Well, like I talked about, there's this compatibility, and at some point I'll start doing, all right, this week let's do, and we'll all make patches and put them into a pool for people to play with. They have to be made using the VST versions of the plugins, or they're not cross-compatible. We don't have a conversion method for that. So I would suggest VST2. VST3 has some additional features that are supposedly added, but the way that Steinberg has done it, it's confusing what the formatting is. It's not compatible between PC and Mac. So it's sort of compatible. We're going to actually probably work at making that more compatible in the future. Thank you, Dr. Pete. Did you get my email about lag when playing Keyscape? It sounds like that might be something with your audio card, but I did see that email. I'm sorry we didn't reply to that. I rebuilt and only B category patches are showing. How do I get it to show again? Well, do this. Go to the settings, go to the data folder, open, and make sure in the libraries is the Unify Standard Library folder. Once you are sure that you have that and that the data folder is connected, then you can hit rebuild now here, or you can go to browse and you can hit rebuild patch database right here, and that will scan and reload everything up. So there's a lot of B's, so make sure you can scroll with your wheel to get down to the other categories to play with it, right? Cool. All right. And Shane's answer, VS2 is best for Mac PC compatibility. VST3 is okay too, but we've run into issues with some VST3s VST is still a newer standard. Yes. Have we tried Reason Rack in Unify? I believe I have, and I believe it works. Let me see here. Reason. Do I have us under propeller heads, right? So I would go over here. Let's do this in real time. This is a gutsy move. We might crash. I'm just telling you because some of this stuff will do this. We do have actually the component version, I think, of Reason Rack as well. So I'm going to drag in the audio unit version. Go here to plugins. Say Reason Rack component. It's added just like that. So now we can go down here to propeller heads. Reason Studios, Reason Rack. And last I checked, it loaded up just fine. Oh, it wants me to log in. Thank you for putting that on public television. I might have to log in propeller heads. Oh, no, it checked. There we go. Yeah, we're up and running. So I could now go to other devices, to the Combinator, something like that. Or Thor, or whatever I want to call up. It works fine. And it didn't crash. Life is good. Okay. All right. Will you future libraries for Omnisphere or other VSTs be available inside the host? Will they only be available? Well, we're working on that strategy. Chances are that the patches made for, say, an Omnisphere library will be available inside of Omnisphere as those patches. And then there will be the additional library, which is available for Unify. I thought about that a little bit, though, because torrent people can just torrent those patches. So I'm not too keen on that, to be honest with you. But we'll see. We'll see. It's still to be seen. We have this licensing system that's really great for licensing for the libraries. And if it's in Unify, it's protected with a license. If it's just a patch for a plugin, it's not. So I'm kind of on the fence. If any of you have thoughts about that, send me a note, you know. New Unify libraries will come as soon as Skippy gets some time. Yeah. I'm an owner of Reason 10, so I'm sold then. Yeah. Yeah, it works. I would like to use Unify. Yeah, it's fun to have this as your portal into using other plugins, because if at any time I go, I want to add something else to this, I can just say duplicate this and easily add whatever synthesizer plugin I own to this. It's like add Cyclop. Cool. And that sound just got more interesting for the melody you want in the track, you know? It's just that simple. It's not that complicated, and it's an interface that makes sense when you're just staring at it before you even need to look for a window button to go somewhere else, okay? All right, I'm out of here. Thank you so much for your support. We'll see you next Saturday, 12 o'clock, and we will have other fun things. I'm going to start a series where each week we look at one of the synthesizers inside of Unify. So if you guys have a request for what synthesizer we should look at first, send me a note. Love to hear what your thoughts are. How about a Unify authorization software for future libraries with actually needing Unify? Explain that to me. I don't know what that means in a text if you want to. Or maybe Shane understands and will explain it to me, because I'm not sure. It needs Unify to be authorized, so it's just right here. You just say, here's your library, and you authorize, and you hit click, and it's done. And now you're working. So that's about as easy as you can get for authorizing. Having it being a separate application means something else that's going to go wrong for a certain percentage of our customers on their computers, which means all that tech support. So we'd like to keep it in one place where we can fix the bugs, and then it works good for everybody once the bugs are fixed, right? Right. Okay. So I'll see you next week. Thank you again. You guys are awesome. Thank you for your support. Shane and I thank you for your support so much. All right.